Hello, this is Reverend Bill, and today is December 9th, Monday. And I want to talk about the story. I haven't really given it any attention because up until today, I didn't really think there was anything altogether special about it. It was a little bit of violence, no surprise there. Someone was shot in New York, no surprise there. He's a CEO. That's a little unusual. But the more I look into the shooting of Bryant Thompson, the more I'm scratching my head for a few reasons. So I thought we'd address that today. Um, and it's strange for a few reasons. Just to give an overview, he was gunned down. They now know, allegedly, by Luigi Mangione. I guess I pronounced that, 26, December 4th, outside a midtown Manhattan hotel. I think it was around 6:45 or thereabouts. I'm not sure at the exact time. He was picked up, I guess, today at McDonald's in Pennsylvania. The search for him seemed pretty quick because it was. Nowadays, it's hard to get away with a major crime with all the cameras around. I tell my family because I come from a technology background, um, so I've told my family always assume if you leave the house you're being recorded because you probably are. Um, Makes me wonder back in the 70s and 80s if people could videotape our college days, me and my friends. Geez, wild stuff. But yeah, you've always got to assume you're being recorded now, uh, wherever you go, because you probably are. Uh, the interesting thing, though, is the killer is not some gangbanger, from South America or the streets of New York. He actually comes from a pretty a wealthy family, very well educated. His family comes from Towson, Maryland, and I guess even has a cousin who's a state lawmaker. So yeah, I mean he's got a very educated background. He seems to come from money. His family develops real estate and property, and they've done so in Turf Valley Resorts in Ellicott City, Hayfields Country Club in Coxeyville, and they also operate the Lorien Health Services nursing homes and a radio station, WCBM AM. So yeah, that was something. You don't usually see this kind of stuff coming from money. So he was arrested early in the day, and again, I mean, he's a pretty intelligent guy, supposedly, and he was carrying a gun, the gun that was supposedly, allegedly used in the killing, along with a fake ID that was allegedly used to check into a hotel, I guess the night before. Um, and he seems so bright. So I got to ask, um, isn't it that the first thing they teach you in Psychotic Killer 101 that you get rid of the murder weapon after you do it? I mean, any 12-year-old kid who watches, crime shows on TV will tell you that, the first thing the gunman does is get rid of the gun, throw it in the sea, throw it in the sewer. If you gotta even throw it in a dumpster, although that's ill advised, but you get rid of it. You don't want to be caught with it because you get caught with it, it's really hard to get out of it right there. I mean, you're caught with the weapon, the killer weapon. Not very smart. He was caught at McDonald's because I guess a worker there recognized him, which is kind of odd. I mean, I don't know if I would actually call the police if I saw someone. I mean, I would think, oh, he might look a little like him, but I mean, that's. I mean, I have seen people of celebrity that celebrity stature, and I've known them mostly basketball players because they're so tall. I think I saw Pat Riley at the airport once, and it wasn't hard to figure out. that was Pat Ryder. And not only did it look like him, but he was, like 7 feet tall. It's hard to miss that. And Marvin Hagler, I think I mentioned Marvin Hagler, I kind of knew, but that was because I grew up in the same city as him and hung around the same places. So that wasn't hard to figure out. But if you, I don't know, if you just walk into a place with a famous celebrity there, like, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow, would I look and go, oh, that's Gwyneth Paltrow? I think I'd be more inclined to say, yeah, there's a woman, she looks like Gwyneth Paltrow, but what would she be doing, in our town, I don't know, Walmart or wherever it was. So I think it was pretty strange that he actually recognized him from a couple of mugshots or whatever he had and called the police. Anyway, he was a class valedictorian, and he went to, I guess, the Maryland Prep School. And for his speech, he gave challenging the world, I guess. So this is not, again, some gangbanger. This is the guy who went to a good school. It was the Gilman School is where he went, and I guess it's an all-boy academy. The tuition is $40,000 a year. So he came for money, and this is what I mean by unusual. He came for money, obviously smart, but he didn't know enough to get rid of the gun. Interesting. And apart from, I guess they call it a ghost gun, it's used for euthanizing animals, by the way. The problem with it is you shoot it and you got to immediately reload it. And I guess in the video, I did see it once. I didn't really look at it very closely. But of what I hear, you do see him reloading it a few times, which, is inefficient. And, I'm not a killer, but you figure if you're going to kill somebody, you want to get in there, do the job, and get out. You don't want to go in there and have to keep on reloading. I think he shot 3 times, which meant he had to reload at least twice. He also had on him a 2.5-page handwritten manifesto that said things like, those parasites had it coming. I would want to be his defense lawyer. There seems to be a lot here against him, just from a layman's point of view. And they mentioned the gun was inefficient because you got to reload it. And they think it was actually built on a 3D printer, which I'm not real familiar with the 3D printer, but I guess you can put an image in a printer and it can actually build it layer by layer. Again, I'm not Mr. 3D printer, but I understand it sounds almost something you'd see in Star Trek. But I guess you could put an image in and it will build whatever you tell it to. So they think that it was built with a 3D printer. And again, this is another thing that I'm kind of curious about. This isn't a life-altering event for him. He's probably not going to have a life after this, whether he gets killed in the attempt or he's going to get arrested or who knows what's going to happen. After he pulls the trigger, his life is never going to be the same. Why would he use what I consider to be kind of a fun toy, a 3D printer for something this serious, especially when you got to reload it? Why doesn't, if he's so brilliant, why doesn't he just go into Walmart and get something reliable? Unless they even get into the fact that he was on every camera around. I'm not recommending anyone try, but I just think if I was going to do this, I would try to get off camera somehow. I mean, he obviously knew where the guy was. He was waiting for him. So with that known, couldn't he have picked a better spot maybe that wouldn't have been so well lighted, so, recordable? I mean, he was valedictorian. You think he would know this stuff. I don't think I'm coming up with anything too difficult here. Just get a reliable gun that you don't have to keep on, reloading. and pick a site where maybe you're not on camera. Just a thought. Now, another thing that puzzles me is the public's reaction to this and the coldness they have against the healthcare industry. Now, I am not standing up for the healthcare industry. As a matter of fact, right now I'm battling them. So, I mean, I am not in any way, shape, or form, supporting the healthcare industry. I understand the pain and the angst people are going through. I'm coming from the view that maybe you shouldn't shoot them down in cold blood. But they're getting a lot of support from bloggers and just Joe Average that's putting out comments. Now, Taylor Lorenz, I guess, is an American journalist. She's a podcaster for Vox Media. And she's hosting a show called Power User. And I'm going to be quoting her now. She wrote this. There's a few quotes here that she wrote on her blog. This is me, quoting her. And people wonder why we want these executives dead, she wrote, basically referencing Blue Shield that no longer covers anesthesia for the full length of some surgeries. Hypothetically, would it be considered an actionable threat to start emailing other insurance CEOs a simple "you're next," completely unrelated to the current events, by the way? Yeah, I would think that's pretty much that would basically be actionable. I would think that's a flat out threat. Another one. People have very justified hatred toward insurance companies, CEOs, because these executives are responsible for an unfathomable amount of death and suffering. As someone against death and suffering, I think it's good to call out this broken system and the people in power who enable it. Okay, call them out, sure. Let's just not gun them down in the street and have their blood running, down the gutter. Let's just not kill anybody. If we can avoid that, that would be great. But I understand the frustration. I mean, there's a lot of frustration in life. Now, this is a guy, Philip Klein. A quote from him. He runs Texas-based Klein Investigations. If I'm not mistaken, actually, I think a little while ago he was hired to protect the CEO. His name's escaping me again. What was his name? Brian Thompson. He was actually hired to protect Brian Thompson a little while ago. So I wouldn't say he's really involved in this, but he's got some history in it. And he said there's a lot of anger in the United States of America right now. Companies need to wake up and realize that their executives could be hunted down anywhere. Now, I do know a lot of companies, including CVS, have removed pictures of their CEOs and other executives off the wall, which is, wow. That's pretty drastic, really. Going back to what Philip Klein said, I mean, seriously, he's saying companies need to wake up and realize that their executives could be hunted down anywhere. Is that what we come to? That these people are now becoming prey? If we could just go around cutting them down and we don't like what they say. Okay. Derek Crow, a spokesman for the nonprofit People Action Institute, did an interview with ABC News, and he said, I think the reason that anger was pent up and it came out in such a volcanic way is that corporations have too much power in this country. And they're standing in the way of dealing with two big epidemics. One is the epidemic of gun violence, which we saw an example in Manhattan. And one is an epidemic care denials across the country. Well, let's address the gun violence for a second here. If they're right, and this gun was created through a 3D printer, and you can just get a 3D printer and you can manufacture a gun through it, which I guess they're saying you can do. That's going to be really hard for controlling guns. So good luck with that one. I think the healthcare system here, to be honest with you, is broken. I think it needs to be fixed. Definitely, I'm seeing that personally. But it's not going to be an easy fix. It's not going to be easy. Some people are able to go into the emergency ward whenever they want to for a headache, and then others, can't get the health care that we need. So it kind of depends on how your coverage is and how you get your coverage. But I've seen myself where I've been in a great deal of stress in an emergency ward, and I couldn't even sit up. I was so sick. I had to just lie down on a gurney and shoved in the corner while they find a doctor. And then some other person came in with a child who had a headache, and the doctor took care of them right away. So, I mean, I get it. It's broken. But I just don't think gunning people down in the street is a way of doing it. And I think the sad part here is that he's probably achieved what he wanted to, which is getting the attention he thought it deserved. And I think that's very unfortunate. I mean, it's a good thing people are aware of it and maybe address it, but I think it's unfortunate because if he does get the message across this way, there can be others, other issues that people might address with violence, and I just don't think that's the answer. Anyway, that's all I got for now. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe. I hope that you guys are enjoying these. I'm enjoying doing them, and again, you've got all my information there on the bottom. If you've got any ideas or want me to cover anything in particular, let me know. I'm always willing to hear from you. Anyway, this is Reverend Bill signing off tonight, and I hope all of you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.